The musty newspapers crunch beneath me as I shift my weight, trying to find a comfortable position on this storage room floor. My mother-in-law Margaret's voice carries through the locked door. Her sugary sweet tone explaining to the party guests that I must have gone home early with a headache. The perfect lie from the perfect hostess. My name is Camila, and 3 hours ago, I was just another daughter-in-law trying to survive a family gathering. Now I'm sitting in the dark, surrounded by decades of hoarded magazines and old Christmas decorations. Realizing that Margaret's campaign against me has escalated from subtle jabs to outright warfare. Such a shame about Camila, I hear Chloe, my sister-in-law, chiming in. She's never been good with large gatherings, has she? I press my ear against the door, listening to them rewrite my story. My phone lies dead in my purse, conveniently misplaced by Margaret during the chaos of preparing for Eleanor's birthday celebration. Ryan, my husband, is probably still entertaining guests in the garden. Unaware that his mother has locked his wife away like an embarrassing family secret. It started with the wine glass. Margaret handed it to me with that practiced smile of hers, the one that never quite reaches her eyes. Special vintage, she'd said. From Thomas's collection. I took a sip and immediately knew something was wrong. The bitter taste, the burning sensation, she'd spiked it with something that made me violently ill within minutes. When I stumbled toward the bathroom, she'd been there, steering me toward the storage room instead. Let's get you somewhere quiet, she'd whispered, her grip on my arm like steel. The lock clicked behind me before I could protest. Through my nausea, I hear Eleanor, my grandmother-in-law, asking about my whereabouts. There's concern in her voice, she's always been more perceptive than the others. Oh, mother, Margaret responds, you know how young people are these days. No staying power. I clench my fists, the anger clearing my head. 5 years I've endured her passive-aggressive comments, her subtle manipulations, her constant attempts to drive a wedge between Ryan and me. But this is different. This is war. The party continues above me, laughter and music filtering through the floorboards. I run my fingers along the newspapers, checking dates. Some go back decades, chronicling family events, achievements, scandals. Margaret's perfect family archive. A smile spreads across my face as I realize, she's just handed me everything I need. If she wants to play dirty, I'll show her exactly what happens when you underestimate the woman you tried to break. Let her enjoy her party. I've got other plans now. 3 days after the storage room incident, I sit across from Ryan at our kitchen table. Watching him read the morning paper as if nothing has changed. As if his mother hadn't poisoned and imprisoned me during Eleanor's birthday party. The bruises on my arm from Margaret's grip have faded to a sickly yellow, hidden beneath my long sleeves. Mother wants us over for Sunday dinner, Ryan says, not looking up from his paper. She's worried about you, says you've been distant lately. I nearly choke on my coffee. The audacity of that woman never ceases to amaze me. Distant? That's an interesting choice of words. Come on, Cam. She's trying. Ryan finally meets my eyes, his expression pleading. You disappeared from the party without saying goodbye to anyone. Eleanor was disappointed. My fingers tighten around the mug. I want to tell him everything, about the spiked wine, the locked door, the newspapers I'd stuffed into my purse before Margaret finally found me. But the words stick in my throat as I remember the family photos lining our hallway. Ryan's proud smile next to his mother at his law school graduation. The doorbell rings, saving me from responding. Through the window, I spot Margaret's Mercedes in our driveway. Surprise visit from the Queen herself, I mutter, standing up. Ryan shoots me a warning look as he goes to answer the door. I hear Margaret's voice, syrupy sweet as always, I brought those organic scones you love, darling. And Camila. Well, I wasn't sure about your preferences these days. She glides into our kitchen wearing her signature pearl necklace, the one that probably costs more than my yearly salary. Her eyes lock onto mine, challenge glinting behind her perfect smile. How are you feeling, dear? You gave us quite a scare at the party. Better, I say, matching her tone. Though some things still leave a bitter taste in my mouth. Margaret's smile doesn't waver, but her fingers tighten on her designer handbag. Ryan, would you mind getting the rest of the packages from my car? I brought some family photos Eleanor wanted you to have. The moment Ryan leaves, Margaret's facade cracks. I know you took something from that room, she hisses. Return it, or things will become very unpleasant for you. I lean back, savoring her discomfort. More unpleasant than being drugged and locked up. That's quite a threat, Margaret. You have no idea what you're dealing with. She straightens as Ryan's footsteps approach. Just remember, this family has ways of handling problems. I smile, thinking of the newspapers hidden in my office safe. So do I, Margaret. So do I. The yellowed newspaper trembles in my hands as I read the headline from 25 years ago. Local business dynasty faces scandal, former partner claims fraud. Sitting in my office after hours. Surrounded by the stolen archives from Margaret's storage room, I finally understand her obsession with control, with appearances. With keeping the family's perfect image intact. My phone buzzes, another missed call from Ryan. I should be home for dinner, playing the dutiful wife while his mother's poison continues to spread through our marriage. Instead, I'm piecing together the story Margaret desperately wanted to keep buried. The office door opens. I freeze, but it's only the cleaning lady. No, not the cleaning lady, Chloe. My sister-in-law stands there in a maintenance uniform, her perfectly manicured nails incongruous with her disguise. I wondered how long it would take you to start digging, she says, closing the door behind her. Found anything interesting? I slide the newspaper into my drawer. What are you doing here, Chloe? She pulls up a chair, the fake uniform crinkling. The same thing you are, looking for leverage. Margaret's not just your problem, Camila. Some of us have been waiting years for someone brave enough, or stupid enough, to challenge her. Why should I trust you? Because I know what else happened that night at Eleanor's party. She leans forward. Margaret didn't just lock you in that room, she made a phone call. I heard everything. My throat tightens. What phone call? To her private investigator. She's building a case against you, Camila. Something about your past in Chicago? Whatever it is, she thinks it's enough to make Ryan leave you. The room spins slightly. That chapter of my life was supposed to be sealed, buried under years of careful reinvention. How did Margaret? My phone buzzes again. Ryan's text reads, Mother found something. We need to talk. Now. Chloe stands, straightening her fake uniform. Margaret's hosting the annual Family Foundation dinner next week. All the shareholders will be there, including the children of that former partner she ruined. If you're planning something, that's your chance. Why are you helping me? She pauses at the door. Because Margaret's not the only one who knows how to play the long game. Just remember, when everything falls apart, I was never here. After she leaves, I pull out the newspaper again. The former partner's suicide 6 months after the scandal stands out in stark detail. His children's names are familiar, I've seen them at charity events, watching Margaret from across the room with cold eyes. I grab my phone, fingers hovering over Ryan's message. Whatever Margaret found about Chicago, she's made her move. Now it's my turn. The foundation dinner is in 3 days. Time to see if revenge really is a dish best served cold. The manila envelope sits between Ryan and me on our bedroom floor, its contents scattered like shrapnel from an explosion. Police reports. Hospital records. Newspaper clippings. My past in Chicago laid bare in stark black and white. Were you ever going to tell me? Ryan's voice is hollow. He holds up a photograph, me, 10 years younger, being led away in handcuffs. It wasn't what Margaret made it look like. My hands shake as I gather the papers. That man, he deserved what happened to him. The restraining order says differently. Ryan stands, pacing. Mother showed me everything. The stalking charges, the psychiatric evaluation, He was hurting people, Ryan. I tried reporting him through proper channels, but his family had connections. Nobody would listen. So you took matters into your own hands. Created fake evidence. Destroyed his reputation. He stops, running fingers through his hair. God, Camila, you could have gone to prison. The irony of his horror isn't lost on me. Like mother, like son, both so quick to judge, so blind to their own family's sins. My phone buzzes. A text from Chloe. Eleanor knows something. Come now. Urgent. I need to go, I say, standing. To plan more revenge? The bitterness in his voice stops me cold. Mother was right about you. You're dangerous. I turn slowly. Ask your mother about James Sullivan. What? The business partner who killed himself. Ask her what really happened to his evidence against the family company. Ask her about the night before his suicide. Ryan's face pales. What are you talking about? The newspapers in her storage room tell interesting stories, Ryan. Your perfect mother just hides her revenge better than I do. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Chloe. Eleanor had a stroke. Margaret's with her. Hurry. I have to see Eleanor, I say, grabbing my keys. When I get back, we'll talk about Chicago. All of it. But right now. Don't bother coming back. Ryan's words hit like physical blows. Mother's right, you'll destroy this family just like you destroyed that man in Chicago. I pause at the door, remembering the newspaper headlines about James Sullivan's children. Their lives shattered by Margaret's carefully orchestrated destruction of their father. Someone's already destroying this family, Ryan. You're just looking at the wrong woman. I leave him standing among the scattered pieces of my past, praying Eleanor holds on long enough to share whatever truth she knows. Because now, it's not just about revenge anymore, it's about survival. Eleanor's hospital room is eerily quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. Margaret hovers by the bed like a vulture, while Thomas slumps in a corner chair, defeated. Chloe stands at the window, her reflection revealing a slight smile she quickly masks when she turns. She was trying to tell me something, Margaret says, adjusting Eleanor's blanket with theatrical care. About the family trust. Then she just collapsed. My eyes narrow at the tremor in her voice, not grief, but fear. Eleanor's gnarled hand twitches on the blanket, and I notice something clutched within it. A piece of paper, edges worn. The doctors say she had a moment of clarity before the stroke, Chloe adds. She was quite insistent about speaking to you, Camila. Margaret's head snaps up. Nonsense. Mother was confused. Eleanor's monitors spike suddenly. Her eyes flutter open, finding mine with startling clarity. Her free hand reaches out, shaking. The letter, she whispers. James's letter. Margaret lunges for Eleanor's other hand, but I'm faster. The paper crinkles as I pull it free, a yellowed envelope addressed to Thomas, dated the day before James Sullivan's suicide. That's private family business, Margaret hisses, reaching for it. Like the business of drugging and locking me up. I step back, holding the envelope out of reach. Or Ryan's convenient discovery of my past. Thomas finally stirs. What is she talking about, Margaret? She's unstable, Thomas. You saw the police reports. She opened the wrong storage room door, I finish. Found things you'd rather keep buried. Just like Eleanor did, didn't she? Eleanor's monitor beeps faster. Her lips move, forming words too weak to hear. I lean closer. Safe, she breathes. Office. Safe. Margaret's composure cracks. Mother, stop this. You're confused. The combination, Eleanor continues, each word a struggle, is James's death date. The room goes silent except for the monitor's steady rhythm. Margaret's face drains of color. You wouldn't, she whispers. Try me. I tuck the envelope into my jacket. Ryan's already left me, thanks to your machinations. I have nothing left to lose. But I do. Chloe steps forward, mask finally dropping. That safe contains proof of who really inherited controlling interest after James died. Eleanor knew the truth, that's why Margaret's been keeping her quiet. Eleanor's hand finds mine, squeezing with surprising strength. Her eyes hold mine, filled with decades of silent witness to Margaret's crimes. Make it right, she mouths. The monitors start screaming. Medical staff rush in as Eleanor's eyes close. In the chaos, I slip out, clutching James's letter while Margaret's desperate calls echo behind me. Time to see what's in that safe. The family office safe clicks open on my third try, November 15, 97, the day James Sullivan died. Inside, beneath stacks of legal documents, I find a USB drive and a handwritten confession that makes my blood run cold. Not just about James's death, but about 3 other accidents that conveniently removed threats to the family empire. My phone buzzes. Ryan, where are you? Mother says Eleanor's asking for you. Before I can respond, the office door opens. Thomas stands there, looking older than I've ever seen him. She told me you'd be here. His voice is heavy. Eleanor. Before she slipped into the coma. Did she tell you what your wife did? What's in that safe? He steps inside, closing the door. I knew. Not everything, but enough. I just couldn't stop her. The confession trembles in my hands. Like you couldn't stop her from drugging me. From destroying James Sullivan. You don't understand what Margaret's capable of. He glances nervously at the door. She's already called the police. Claims you broke in, stole company documents. My stomach drops. Of course she did. They'll be here soon, he continues. She's pressing charges. With your history in Chicago. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Margaret's voice carries through the door, Officer, she's unstable. Dangerous. Just look at her record. Thomas grabs my arm. There's a back exit through the conference room. Go. Now. Why are you helping me? Because Eleanor made me promise. And because. He pulls out his phone, showing me a text from Ryan, coming to the office. Don't let Mother near Camila. The footsteps get closer. I stuff the USB drive and confession into my pocket, but Thomas stops me. Leave the confession, he whispers. They'll search you. The drive is enough. The door handle turns. I dash through the conference room just as Margaret's voice rings out, she's stealing company property. Running down the back stairs, I hear Ryan calling my name from somewhere above. The emergency exit alarm blares as I burst into the alley, sirens wailing in the distance. My phone buzzes one last time. Chloe, Eleanor's dead. Margaret was with her when it happened. I freeze, the USB drive burning in my pocket. Eleanor died trying to expose the truth, just like James Sullivan. And now Margaret's turning me into another convenient accident, the unstable daughter-in-law who snapped and attacked the family. The sirens get closer. I have the evidence, but no confession. No allies except a dead woman and a sister-in-law playing her own game. And somewhere above, my husband is choosing between his mother's lies and his wife's truth. Time to disappear. Again. The annual shareholders meeting erupts into chaos as I project the contents of Eleanor's USB drive onto the conference room screen. Financial records, death certificates, and surveillance footage flash before the stunned audience. Margaret stands frozen at the podium, her perfectly manicured hands gripping the edges until her knuckles turn white. These are lies, she announces, but her voice wavers. This woman is disturbed. You've all seen the police reports. Like the police reports about James Sullivan's suicide. I step forward, facing the room of shareholders. Or should we ask his children, sitting right here, about the real story? Two people rise from the back, James Sullivan's son and daughter, their faces hard with decades of suppressed rage. Eleanor knew everything, I continue. That's why she had to die. Just like their father had to die. Just like I had to be discredited and destroyed. Security. Margaret's composure cracks. Remove her immediately. Nobody move. Ryan's voice cuts through the chaos. He stands in the doorway, holding Thomas's written confession. Father just handed this to the police. It's over, Mother. Margaret's laugh sends chills down my spine. Over? You stupid girl. You think evidence matters? Money talks. Connections protect. Ask your precious Ryan about the checks he's been signing, the cover-ups he's approved. Ryan steps forward, face ashen. I never knew what they were for. You told me they were charitable donations. You knew enough. Margaret's mask finally shatters. You all knew enough. Everything I did was to protect this family. To protect our legacy. Eleanor understood that once, before she got soft, before she decided to trust this outsider. She reaches into her jacket. The metallic glint makes my heart stop. Mother, don't, Ryan starts forward. Stay back. The small pistol shakes in Margaret's hand. I won't let you destroy everything I've built. Everything I've sacrificed for. Chloe suddenly appears beside me. Put it down, Margaret. The police are already here. I called them the moment Eleanor died. You? Margaret's eyes narrow. My own daughter. Your daughter who you wrote out of the will. Chloe's smile is razor sharp. Eleanor told me everything before she died. About James, about the changed inheritance, about all of it. The gun swings between us as Margaret's world crumbles. In her moment of indecision, Ryan tackles her. The gun skids across the floor as mother and son grapple, years of lies and manipulation exploding into raw, physical struggle. I did it for you. Margaret screams as the police burst in. Everything was for you. Ryan helps the officers restrain her, his face wet with tears. No, Mother. Everything was for you. It was always for you. As they lead Margaret away, I catch her final whisper, you'll never be rid of me. Never. She's right. Some poisons never leave the bloodstream. But at least now we can begin to heal. The empty house echoes with our footsteps as Ryan and I pack Margaret's belongings. Each object feels tainted, photo albums filled with carefully curated lies, crystal vases that held flowers from her victims' funerals. Pearls that witnessed decades of manipulation. Found this in her study, Chloe says, entering with a leather-bound diary. Apparently, she kept detailed records of everyone's secrets. Insurance, she called it. Of course she did. I close another box. What will you do with your share of the inheritance now? Chloe's smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. Eleanor's last amendment gave me controlling interest. Ironic, Margaret's obsession with keeping me away from the company board actually pushed Eleanor to change her will. Ryan stiffens beside me. You planned this from the beginning. I learned from the best. Chloe traces the diary's spine. Margaret taught us all how to play the long game. I just played it better. The doorbell interrupts us. Through the window, I spot James Sullivan's children on the porch, clutching folders of their own evidence. They're here about the settlement, Ryan says quietly. Father agreed to return everything Margaret stole from their family. Not everything. I touch my still flat stomach, thinking of Eleanor's last smile in the hospital. Some legacies can't be measured in dollars or shares. I'll handle the meeting, Chloe announces. Consider it my first act as CEO. She pauses at the door. Oh, and Camila. Margaret left something for you in the storage room. Said you'd understand. In that musty room where it all began, I find a single envelope on the floor. Inside is a newspaper clipping about my case in Chicago, and a note in Margaret's precise handwriting: "We're not so different, you and I. Remember that when my grandchild asks about me." Ryan finds me there, sitting among the scattered newspapers. "We can sell the house," he offers. "Start fresh somewhere else." "No." I stand, crumpling Margaret's note. She doesn't get to haunt us anymore. This house, this family, they're ours now. To rebuild. To make right. He helps me up, his hand lingering on my stomach. Eleanor would have loved that. Outside, Chloe's voice carries from the study, smoothly negotiating with the Sullivans. Thomas tends his garden, finally free to grow something of his own. And somewhere in a prison cell, Margaret plots her revenge. Writing letters we'll never read to a grandchild who'll know her only through carefully chosen truths. Some wars end not with victory or defeat, but with the quiet understanding that the battle lines were drawn in the wrong places all along. And sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply living well, in the spaces our enemies once thought they owned.